Hello, my name's John. These are the new Space Wolf Grey Hunters, and you're watching Wargames, Models, and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to another video. I've just got my hands on some of the new Space Wolf models for Warhammer 40,000 and I think they're brilliant. One thing though, there is a unit that I have missed for many years because it's slowly been phased out. But today I've decided I'm going to start making that unit. Now before I do, I want to show you which one I'm talking about. So we're going to jump all the way back to White Dwarf 158. And within 158, this has some of the first releases of Space Wolves. This was for the end of first edition, beginning of second edition, which came a few months after these releases. These are the guys. Long Fangs. We'll go to this advert page just here. Now, the Long Fangs, they're Devastators, but with that unique trait of being much older Marines as you have in the Space Wolves. And I do love the Devastator Squad. You'll have seen my video on converting a Primera scale Devastator Squad. If you haven't, I'll leave a link in the description. But I'm going to do the same thing in this video, or start to anyway. So, let's just jump straight into it, and I'm going to start making some Long Fangs. So, I've already started putting the bodies together of these. Now with the Grey Hunters, there are 5 different bodies, which works perfectly with the Long Fangs because there are 5 heavy weapons Marines, including the Sergeant, in the squad. Now I am aware Long Fangs are still available for Space Wolves. They're pretty much all the heavy weapon, heavy infantry choices that you can have. But I do like this classic Devastator style. Unfortunately, when I had a look on the Army Builder, the Devastator Squads aren't available for Space Wolves, but as they're still in the Space Marine Codex, and I have a physical copy of the Space Wolf Codex, I'm going to use the standard Devastator rules. It does mean that I think down the line, Devastators are going to get phased out, and that's going to be a real shame because I do like them. But anyway, let's get started converting this squad. So the first thing that I'm going to work on is the Sergeant. Now, I've used the Grey Hunter Sergeant as a basis because there are 3 wolf tails on their belt. The icon isn't correct on the belt, it is a Grey Hunter's icon, but there is in the Wolf Guard set an icon that I could use. So in a later video, if this looks okay, I'm going to add that onto that. But what I need to do is take off the detail on the chest plate, and I need to adjust the collar of this model because in the Wolf Guard set there is a head that I think would be perfect for this conversion. So I'm going to start trimming this back. Okay, so I've taken the detail off the breastplate. What I need to do now, as you can see when that head fits in place, the collar just is the wrong size. I'm going to trim that right back. And to do that, all I'm going to do is gently run my knife into it like that, find the matching side, and then put that in there like that. And then I'm going to carefully cut to that point. So we've got that down like that, and then I'm just going to bring the blade across the front like that. Let's scrape the blade along a little bit just to start tidying that up. And now placing that head there, I can see I need to take it down a little bit more. One thing with the Wolf Guard heads as well, they have a flat base rather than like a ball and socket one that fits in to the bodies of the other Marines. So I am aware there's a little bit of work I've got to do to make this fit properly, but I'm okay doing that because I want a Long Fangs squad after this. And as the beard is going to be hiding some of this, I'm not too worried. So, looking at this, I need to trim a little bit more off the sides, which is going to be nice and easy, because all I'm going to do is run my blade round in a slight curve to create a new edge to this collar. There we go. And then that, I'm quite happy with the way that sits in there. Now, if I push it in like that, it doesn't sit that nicely. So I need to make something to put it together. So I'm going to grab some green stuff. Not too much. I think I've probably got too much now, but that doesn't matter. And let's mix that up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this green stuff in place and then put the head on top of it, and I'm going to let that go off. And then in my next video, where I'm going to do a half-hour hobby of making Space Wolves, I'm going to come back to this and finish off the Sergeant. For now, I just want to make sure that the head fits perfectly and it looks right. I think I put a little bit too much green stuff there, so I'm going to take a little bit off. So as always, I have mixed up too much green stuff, but that doesn't matter. I want this to sit right, this conversion. Okay, and there we have the head of the Long Fang Sergeant. I can push that head back slightly. I'm aware that oh, sorry, that's gone out of focus. I'm aware that hair is, from the beard, is sticking up slightly. So I might, looking at that, just put a little bit more green stuff in. And put that on there. Like that. So it's kind of looking down a little bit. That's okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's have a look at the original and this new one. Yeah, I think that works quite nicely. Nice little update. Now, for the backpack, I am thinking of using the Devastator backpack, which means I need to trim this down a little bit to put it in place, but I might not use it. I'm not quite sure yet. But what I need to do is leave this for a little while to cure, but in my next video, we're going to get back to working on this while I make some of my other Space Wolves. But I need to make one of the other members of this Long Fang squad. So I have another Grey Hunter body made, and the character I want to put together is a multi-melter wielding Long Fang. So this sits quite nicely in this pose, I think. So I'm going to have to glue this in place, fix the backpack in place, and then choose a head and get an appropriate shoulder pad for this. So first things first, let's get some glue. And put that on the side. And as always, at the end of this video, I'll include a few little images for the models that I've made, so you can see it in a little bit more detail. But like I said, I've done a video very similar to this before, being my Primaris scale Devastators. And they are my favourite unit, the Devastator Squad. More so when it comes to the Long Fangs. They are one of my all-time favourite units within Warhammer 40,000. So that's sitting really quite nicely there. Now the one thing, while that's drying, which I want to quickly show you in this white dwarf. Here we go. So on the page here, we have the Long Fangs standing on a rock. It's the only one that's standing on a rock there, but I do like the way that we have a rock for this one to be standing on. Okay, that's dried and gone off there. So the next thing I want to do, I want to glue the backpack in place, but what I'm going to have to do is trim off the square nub for the Primaris backpack. And to do that, I'm just going to use some snips and tidy this up. Now, I am aware that this unit doesn't exist anymore in this form, but it doesn't bother me. For the armies that I collect and make, having this classic squad just brings back a lot of memories for me. And this is something that you should really think about when you're doing your hobby. You don't have to make units to fit in with all of the new rules or anything like that. You can make a unit that you want to make. It's your hobby. So with this backpack, when I put it in place, as I found with the previous Primaris Devastators, the weapons don't quite fit in place. We get little gaps. So what I will do, once I've glued this in place, when the green stuff I've mixed a little bit too much of goes a little bit harder, I'm going to use that to create a pipe to join the backpack to the body. So let's just glue this backpack in place. I want to make sure it lines up as close as possible. There we go. So we've only got a little bit of a bridge there I've got to make, which is fine. So I'm going to let that go off slightly. And what I want to show you as well, this is White Dwarf 185. Let me zoom out while that's drying. In here, this great White Dwarf, this has, as I flip through the pages, there we go, it has a fantastic Space Wolf army in it. And this must have hit me subconsciously all those years ago, because it has a Long Fangs squad in it where a multi-melter has been converted, because that was never one of the Devastator models released, unfortunately, but we have a multi-melter converted there. And also, these are the weapons that I want this Long Fang squad to have. And I only realised this today when I dug out this White Dwarf. I've got a heavy bolter, 2 missile launchers, and a multi-melter. So I'm looking forward to, in homage, making this squad. But yeah, there we go. That is the Long Fang squad, which I am going to be updating. I might also do the little thumbs up that we have just there, which is on this Marine. Okay, so as this is now dried in place, what I need to do is find an appropriate shoulder pad as well as a helmet. So I have the Grey Knight sprues, sorry, just knocking the camera around a lot, and looking at the heads, I am going to go for, with this case, this one just here, which is a bear head with a bionic eye. Could be a targeter, but I'm going to treat this as a bionic eye. And shoulder pad wise, there's a few different options that you can go with, and I think for this one, in just a nice and simplistic way, I think, let's have a look at what we've got. I think I'm just going to go for, oh, let's get that in focus, that one there with the wolf pelt on. So because the multi-melter pretty much covers up all of the Space Wolf detail on this character's armour, having a little bit on this shoulder pad is going to really help get that look across. So let's get that on first. So there we have that wolf pelt just there. What this does mean when I come around to painting this, which hopefully will be sooner rather than later, because this is the shoulder pad that has the Space Wolf Great Company markings on, I'm going to have to trim a transfer to fit in there, but I don't mind doing that. So the next job is to get the head in place. Now the tricky thing, because of the way the multi-melter goes in place, the head might end up getting moved a bit forward. Actually, I quite like the way that looks. That fits in really quite nicely. So let's get some glue in there, and I'm going to put a little bit more than I need just to soften the plastic. And then position this Long Fangs head in place. And there we go. There is a multi-melter wielding Long Fang. So let's just bring the partially completed Sergeant in so you can see them both together. Really happy with how this has turned out so far. I'm going to carry on doing this in my hobby half hour, so stay tuned for the next video, which comes out in a few days, where I'll be carrying on with these as well as making a few other Space Wolf models. But for now, all I can say is thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.